A small settlement was established a short distance from the city of Baghdad, where an old man was spending the last days of his life in complete silence and simplicity. He was a very patient, kind-hearted, and wise person. He had 5 sons, but over time, all of their natures and behaviors had changed. Among them, the eldest son was Yusuf, who was a landowner. Yusuf worked in the fields all day, tending the land and taking care of the crops. He was hard-working, but the burden of daily fatigue and responsibilities had started to harden his heart. When he served his old father, he would often think in his heart about when this responsibility would end. In the evening, when Yusuf returned home tired, his old father, Hakim, quietly observed his condition. He felt his son's exhaustion, but said nothing. He had immense love for Yusuf in his heart, but instead of expressing it in words, he kept it hidden in silence. As time passed, Hakim noticed a change in Yusuf's behavior. His tone no longer had the same softness as before. He understood that his son was burdened by responsibilities, and perhaps had started to see his old father as a burden. One day, Hakim called Yusuf to himself and gently said, "Son, I know you get very tired. Do not worry, I will not stay with you for many more days. In a few days, I will go to your brother. You should focus on your life." Hearing this, a slight wave of regret arose in Yusuf's heart, but he remained silent. He did not try to stop his father. After a few days, Hakim went to his second son, Farouk. Farouk was a successful trader, and he had no shortage of wealth. But along with wealth, the softness in his heart had decreased. Farouk gave his father a place, but he had no time. He remained busy in business day and night. His wife also ignored her father-in-law, and did not consider it necessary to talk to him. The old Hakim would sit quietly in a corner of the house. There was pain in his heart due to the changing love of his sons, but he did not express his suffering to anyone. One day, at his wife's suggestion, Farouk said to his father, "Father, he should help me in business so that your presence is of some benefit." Hearing this, Hakim became silent. His bent back and weak body clearly showed that he was no longer capable of doing any work. Yet, he still said nothing. That night, when he was groaning with cough and pain, Farouk's wife said in annoyance, "This old man is troubling us more, send him somewhere else." Farouk also said unwillingly, "Father, if you wish, you can go to another son. I will give money for your treatment." These words pierced Hakim's heart like arrows, but he remained patient, and left the next day. Now he went to his third son, Usman. Usman was a hard-working farmer. He respected his father, but he also had no time. He worked in the fields all day, and spent the evening with his wife and children. His wife would often leave the children with their grandfather, so that she could rest. The old Hakim, who himself was weak and ill, became even more tired while taking care of the children. Over time, his condition worsened, and eventually, he left from there as well. Now he went to his fourth son, Ahmed, who was a greedy and worldly man. Ahmed welcomed his father warmly at first, because he hoped that perhaps he had some wealth. But when he found out that his father had nothing, his behavior also changed. His wife openly started mistreating him. She would complain all the time, and considered the old man a burden. Finally, Ahmed also said, "Father, you cannot stay here, I do not have time." Hearing this, Hakim's heart broke, but he did not lose courage, and decided to go to his youngest son, Abdullah. Abdullah was a poor but very kind-hearted man. He worked hard to earn for his household. His wife was also very decent and caring. When Hakim arrived there, Abdullah embraced him. Love and respect were clearly visible in his eyes. Abdullah and his wife served him wholeheartedly. They brought his medicines, took care of him, and never let him feel like a burden. Seeing all this, Hakim became very happy. His heart found peace, and he silently began to pray for his son. As time passed, Hakim's health worsened. Abdullah would often cry seeing his father's condition. He did not consider him a burden, but a blessing. One day, Hakim called him and said in a weak voice, "Son, my final days are near, but you have won my heart. May Allah always keep you happy." Abdullah said while crying, "Father, please do not leave us." Hakim smiled and said, "Son, this world is temporary, but the service you have done will always be remembered." Then he told a secret, "After me, go to Baghdad and meet a man named Jabir. He will give you a trust, all of that is yours." Abdullah listened silently, tears flowing from his eyes. In those moments, a resolve formed in Abdullah's heart that he would make every advice of his father a principle of his life. He promised himself that he would always follow the path of truth, patience, and service. The weak breaths of his father seemed to give him one last lesson, that true wealth is love and service. And that was the treasure that never ends. After a few days, the moment came that Abdullah had feared. The old Hakim passed away from this world. The house was filled with grief. Abdullah's tears would not stop. His wife was also crying deeply, because she had served her father-in-law wholeheartedly, and loved him like her own parents. Abdullah composed himself, and informed his brothers. All the brothers, who once considered their father a burden, came to attend the funeral. Time seemed to silence everyone for a moment. After the funeral, when all the brothers sat together, Abdullah said softly, "Father had entrusted something to me during his life. He said it was only for me, but I want all of us brothers to share it equally." Hearing this, a sparkle appeared in the eyes of all the brothers. The hidden greed in their hearts awakened. They immediately said, "Yes, Abdullah, you go and bring that trust, then we will divide it equally among all of us." Abdullah nodded without any argument. He knew what his father had said, but his sense of justice and brotherhood was stronger. He set off for Baghdad. The hustle and bustle of the city, the lively markets, and the sounds of people were not new to him, but this time his purpose was different. He went straight to the street where an old man named Jabir lived. Abdullah knocked on the door. A weak voice came, "Who is it?" Abdullah replied respectfully, "I am Hakim's son." Hearing this, the door opened immediately. There was both surprise and sorrow in Jabir's eyes. "Hakim," Abdullah said with lowered eyes, "he is no longer in this world." Jabir took a deep breath, then went inside, and brought an old box. "This is the trust your father left with me. He said to give it to you when the time comes." Abdullah took the box, thanked him, and returned. When he reached home, all the brothers were eagerly waiting. As soon as he opened the box, all their eyes widened in surprise. It contained gold coins, precious jewelry, and documents of several shops in the market of Baghdad. It was a very large wealth. Happiness spread across the faces of the brothers. Abdullah distributed everything equally without any hesitation, even though it was entirely his right. Time passed. But when wealth comes without wisdom and gratitude, it does not take long for the outcome to change. Within a few months, the conditions of the elder brothers began to change. One brother fell into debt because of wrong decisions. His business was destroyed, and he even had to sell his house. Another brother, who was used to luxury, fell into bad company. One day, he was caught on the charge of theft, and the judge sent him to prison. The condition of the remaining brothers was not much different. Whatever they touched turned into loss, as if blessings had been taken away from their lives. All of this was actually the result of their behaviors. On the other hand, Abdullah started a small business with his hard work and honesty. He would buy cloth and sell it, worked with truth, and gradually his business began to grow. People became convinced of his honesty. His reputation began to spread. With time, he became so successful that he even bought the shops that his brothers had sold. Gradually, he became the biggest trader in the entire market. But his greatest quality was that he never became arrogant. One day, those same brothers, who once considered themselves rich, came to his door asking for help. Their faces were lowered with shame. Abdullah looked at them, and without saying anything, invited them inside. He neither taunted them, nor complained. Instead, he helped them wholeheartedly. This was the real teaching given by his father. Time passed, and one day Abdullah bought a big house in a beautiful area of Baghdad. He began to live a prosperous life with his wife and children. But he never forgot his father. Often at night, he would look toward the sky, and say, "Father, your prayers brought me here, I wish you were with me today." Life had taught Abdullah that real success is not wealth, but winning hearts. He also taught his children the same lesson, that serving parents never goes to waste. He knew that a father's prayers are the light that shows the way, even in darkness. And this light leads a person to success in both this world and the hereafter. This story teaches us that respecting and serving parents is not just a duty, but the greatest virtue. Those who consider their parents a burden, actually lose their blessings. And those who serve them with a sincere heart, are given such paths by Allah, that they themselves cannot even imagine.